So, with that, we will introduce Pam, who is going to give us our program today. And she's going to introduce a few other people that are in the audience, just in case you were wondering who they are. Oops.
Thank you. I'm Pamela Hodenberg. I live in Bridgeton, and I am the great-granddaughter of Nellie Chute Edwards. And this is my sister Terry Plummer, and my sister Abby Whittemore.
Welcome. Welcome.
We are the great-granddaughters. And I want to thank you all for following on my Facebook page, and when I post to the memories of Otisfield, it gives me a great chuckle to be able to share this woman with you all, and many more. Nellie was born August 7, 1859 in Bolster's Mills to William Windsor Chute and Lucetta Philbrick Chute. And she is buried, her and her husband and her 3 children are buried at the Elmwood Cemetery. She lost George, her husband, George Albert Edwards. They married December 10, 1881, here in Otisfield. They had 3 children. 2 children did not make it. They died within a few days of birth. But our grandmother, Elvira Edwards Welch, made it. And she lived a good long life.
Let's pull her.
This is Elvira. You see her in the diaries referred to as Vera.
Did she live on Scribner Hill?
Yes.
Yes. I live on Scribner Hill as well.
Well, the Welch family that Vera married into lived in the big yellow farmhouse that is said to skirt. That was the Welch home. The Welches came from Peaks Island as far as we've been able to trace so far. So with that, and Nellie, as you know from reading the diaries, was Otisfield's seamstress. She sewed for every family, I swear, in this town back in the late 1800s into the 1920s and 30s. Not the 30s, she passed away in 1926. Let's see. These diaries, and they came in all sizes, from the very tiny to a large one. And they were all given to her by her daughter Vera, who started asking her mother to start keeping a diary. And as a matter of fact, in tomorrow's entry for Saturday, April 19th, 1919, she writes, "Fair, cleaned my pantry, sewed in the afternoon, got a letter from Vera. Wanted to know if I wrote in my diary every day." She writes, "Guess I have." Guess I have so far. So, Nellie also was a poet. And she wrote poetry around her friends and family here in Otisfield. And there's one in particular that really struck my fancy. And it was How I Earned My Dollar. In July, the circle met one pleasant afternoon when Sybil Lamb suggested $1 each should earn. It would help to buy the carpet we are trying hard to do, for the old church needs it sadly. Well, with paint and whitewash too. Now, butter and eggs I have to sell, and sewing every day. But 'twas noted we earn our dollar in some uncommon way. 2 quarts of berries I thought I would sell. I still had one more on the shelf. 18 cents I received for them and laid it away by itself. Next came a man inquiring for rags. I had quite a lot stowed away. I thought of my dollar and brought down the bag, for which 50 cents he did pay. I now counted up my money, the cents were 68. 32 more were needed, and not long I had to wait. My husband had some hay to get. He said if I would follow and rake the scatters and stow it away, he would give me the rest of my dollar. So of course I did the job, and cents got 32, which made up all my dollar that I now will give to you. And when I give the money, I know you all will say that I have earned my dollar in a fair and honest way.
Yeah, that's great.
Nellie's diaries, for me and for my sisters, represent the way life was in Otisfield 100 years ago, when she hooks up the wagon every day to go to Norway. That was no short trip. That was 13 and a half miles, because I measured it last week.
With a wagon?
No. But I figured out that a horse's gait, I Googled it, a horse's gait is 4 steps. So with all that figured in, and a little bit of math, it figures that it took her 7.5 hours to go from her home
Wow.
to Norway, to the depot, and to the Oxford Mill, where she would get her fabric, back home. She went in snow, rain, sleet, mud, of course, and 121 wasn't like it is right now. Because 121 up here, just past the store that sits by the lake, I'm not sure the name of it.
The post.
The post, okay. When you go past the post, headed to Oxford, you'll see a little road down by the lake where those cottages are. That was 121 then. My Aunt Ruby often spoke of remembering riding in the buggy with her grandmother and the waves lapping up on the wheels, going in rain or snow, and going over to the train depot in Welshville. That was no short trip, you know, and coming back, carrying a case of eggs, a load of butter, a slaughtered pig, which she did just recently. Let's see. I think it was January when George slaughtered a pig, and the next day she put it in the wagon and took it to Norway. Now, does anyone here, in your knowledge of the history, know what the pledge was? Because I haven't been able to figure that out. Because they gave the cow they slaughtered, she mentioned that it went to pledge. I don't know what that is. So there are some questions in here and words, you know, that have certainly been lost over the 100 years. Now, the pledge, I thought,
Would be like the pledge we have nowadays, when you agree to pay a certain amount, right?
right, that's what I'm thinking, that they pledged this cow to either feed the poor over in Norway and had it, you know, slaughtered over the, well, they killed it on their farm, but they took it to Norway.
USDA wasn't involved.
No, not at all. No, they didn't have the figures in it at all. There was, she references making pickles and going to North Norway to get apples. And all this is done by horse and buggy. She didn't just hop in the car and go. Matter of fact, she didn't take her first car ride until 1923, when the first automobile came through. She did mention seeing one when Emil was asking for Barron's store, which I think somebody replied on the Facebook page that they thought it was over in Spurs Common. There was a Baron over there the man's name was Baron, and he had a store there. So,
Barrow, not Barron.
Six Barrow.
It was in Barrow's store.
Barrows.
Yeah.
There is, this poem was written for Minnie Kemp. Is anyone here related to have Minnie Kemp in their history?
I'm a Camp.
Yeah.
Camp's family, but,
Well, this poem was written for a Minnie Kemp. Some of it through time has gotten splotched, but I'll do the best I can. Okay. Girls and boys, you have gathered here to celebrate the 18th year and the birthday party to attend of Minnie Kemp, your dear young friend. It scarcely seems more than a day, so swiftly time has passed away, since Minnie was a child so dear, the size of little Edna here. She now has grown quite tall and lean, so no little airy-fairy queen, but seems to be both well and thrifty, weighing nearly 150. When she was a little child with Grandpa Winship, she lived a while and got there, and there began her little flirtation on the, lost that part. Still small, she came away to Rayville, but to stay, and gained a little more knowledge, going to school at Rayville College.
Jackson Road.
Puggleyville came in for a share. They bought a house and moved down there. Near the pond where it is cool, here Minnie finished her grammar school. Now education is a friend that you can neither borrow nor lend. While Minnie was thirsting for knowledge, so to Oxford High School she must go. Minnie, like other girls I know, thought it was nice to have a beau. So Guy hung around for quite a while, basking himself in Minnie's smile. But a quarrel they had, and part they must. What a noise it makes when hearts do bust. While wounds heal quickly in many ways, and their hearts in a very few days. Then Minnie went to work again, studied hard, and stored her brain. She spent 4 years and passed all right, graduating with honors bright. Now Minnie had a niche to fill, so takes the school on Scribner Hill, which is on the height of land. where the air is pure and the view is grand. Lest you can see when it's clear and bright, from Poland Springs to the mountains white. About this time, Swift came along, and Minnie took his heart by storm. A smart young man is all do say, who have been to church and heard him pray. Minnie occasionally now has to take a trip to Hebron, a visit to me. Now here's a conundrum. Please guess why a great tall man likes a little short woman. Why a great tall lady likes a little short man. Well, I'll be leaving it to her fate as I have brought her up to date. She has a wonderful sense of humor in her poetry.
When did she write that? You know?
I don't know when this was written. This one,
But I think if you dissect it, there was a timetable in there.
Yeah.
yeah, there really is.
There wasn't many Kemp, and I know, there were two Kemp families up on Scribner Hill. One, the family where Jean Hankins now lives.
Yeah.
That's where my grandmother was born, and she was a Kemp. And then the house below it was also a Kemp, and they were brothers who married sisters. So they married Wadwell sisters. And there wasn't many Kemp, but I think she was in the other family.
Well,
Many can't belong to the other family.
Yeah.
well, she was a teacher up on Scribner Hill, that we know. Now, is that school gone?
Yes,
Long gone.
it was at
It's
the,
long gone now, right?
it was right at the top of the hill, near where, you probably don't know where Ivory Hill is, other people do though.
Yes.
Where Ivory Hill goes down to the lake, toward the lake.
Yes, yeah,
That's where it was, right at that junction.
okay. Didn't we go out there today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
So with Nellie, over the course of the years, in 1920, they sold their house. Now, as near as my sisters and I could figure, the house that is talked about in these first three diaries is where the Coombe Road, Scribner Hill meet and come out on the 121. When you go up, as if you're going that way over Scribner Hill, it's like the first farm or
On the right.
on the right.
And Priscilla Delahanty lived there.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And then Pico was earlier, Dean Pico and
Yes.
his family, yeah.
Yeah, so as near as we can figure by tracing deeds and doing a lot of backtracking, that's the house that they lived in. There is these diaries. They sold the farm in 1920, May 1920, and moved over to Welchville, which, when you go across the railroad tracks on, what's the name of that? You go across 26, from 121, 26, you go across there and you go down in, and the train depot's down in there.
It's just over the railroad
It's
track.
just over the tracks.
Dundee, down in Rockadundee area?
It's the yellow farmhouse you can see. That's where they moved to in May 1920.
They paid $5 a month rent. For that big farmhouse.
So that big farmhouse.
Does your diary say why? Why did they move?
She doesn't say why. You know, and that's one thing about Nellie's diaries. There's nothing about her emotions.
Yeah. Huh.
It's just what she did,
No
when
current
she did
events.
it. You know, not how she felt. I mean, you kind of, in some of them, you can kind of see how she felt about that.
So one of them just recently, didn't she say she felt sad today?
Yes.
Just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Feeling
the first
sad
one.
today. Didn't do
She
much.
was lonely for her daughter.
Women were supposed to be quiet still, right?
well, choice. So but with her gathering hay, you know, she was right out there in the fields with her husband. She wasn't just sewing. I mean, she sewed a lot of clothes for a lot of folks here in town, from the Kemp family, the Jelsons, and all the folks that I mentioned. When I write these and copy these diary entries, she certainly had fortitude to keep going after losing 2 children right off, the first 2, and they were only born and lived only a few days. And when you think, Terry, when were they?
One was born in 1883, a little girl. It doesn't give a death date, so I'm presuming she only lived a few days. And then the little boy was born 7 years later, and I presume that he died within a few days. And then our grandmother, Vera, wasn't born for another 7 years. So there was 7 years between each child.
And
Because they were buried right up here by the radio church.
then,
Right in the front row.
Vera was, of course, her 3rd child and the only one who survived. And when Vera becomes pregnant by Aunt Ruthie, which is this year, Aunt Ruthie is born in 1919, August of this year. And there are entries that will come up, like in August, when she learns of the baby being born. Let's see on that. What was that? Ruthie's birthday. 20.
I thought this was a marble. It's a button.
A button.
Look like antique marbles.
Wasn't she born in August?
She was born in August.
August 9th, I think.
Let's see. Got a letter from Mrs. Welch saying she had a telephone message from Charles that Vera had a little girl, baby, born this noon, and she was doing fine. Thank the Lord it's over. You can see how she worried. You know, got a letter from Charles saying Vera was all right last night. Hope she will be fine and that the baby will live. Made a little dress to send her soon. So, you know, with children and being born back then, there wasn't a high survival rate for whatever reason. I mean, she doesn't refer to anything that happened to her, losing children. She never mentions that in any diary. Myself, I'd be all over it. But back then, women didn't talk about it. Let's see. This is coming up in June. I love how she did the weather. Because this little diary is broken up. THER, thermometer, and then WEA, the weather. And this is where she would put when it was bitter cold. Otherwise, she didn't bother. Went to the station with a case of eggs, carried some potatoes to Oxford. This afternoon made raised bread, cake, and a pie. Miss Warren came over. Ruby was up at 9. But these, when she writes these, And she has kept these diaries, and they've survived 100 years for us to read today. We are so blessed. My sisters and I, we didn't know these existed. We had no idea about them. And they only showed up, what?
Shortly after Mom died.
Shortly after I passed away. We found this box.
Your mother had?
She had it under her bed.
Under her bed. So we're assuming that this box of memorabilia must have been given to my dad when Vera died. His sister must have given him this box, and it just went under the bed and stayed there for 20-some years. We never knew about it until one day we were in my mother's living room and what's in this? And we opened it up and there were the diaries and pictures, dance cards. They really use dance cards, folks, it's not a myth.
Oh yeah, grand waltz, two-step waltz, something I can't pronounce, Boston fancy, two-step gallop, waltz, plain quadrille, waltz, and then an intermission.
And they are checked off of the ones that some young man wanted to dance with her with.
Some have initials and some are just X or pluses. No minuses, but then there's pluses and there's X's, so she had a
Leave this one behind and
Lady of the Lake, an X, and then an L point G point. Probably somebody special.
must have been dead.
Class of 1913, dance.
Wow.
There's a couple of here.
The dance cards, postcards that,
This is a neat one.
yes, this one here is written and it goes, Dear Mom, well, will you send in that bundle, a jar of Vaseline for my patent leather shoes? Send them all in a suit box, and if you do that, why you can iron the things, typical teenage daughter. This is one of the cottages near here. I have done chamber work there. Be sure and send things soon, and won't need any more for a while. Send a large jar. So that you have from what you have at home. Vera. That was in Kennebunk, I believe.
I'm kidding, huh?
I have a question about the diaries. I'm kind of interested in how often people in Otisfield went to church. Did she go to church?
She calls it the meeting
house.
went to meeting house. Meeting. She calls it meeting.
Meeting is going to church.
Yes.
But did she go every week or not?
Most every week.
Most every week she did go.
And which church did she go to?
She just called it the meeting house, whichever. Now I'm wondering if it was the one that was on Ringo Road.
Probably.
You
The
know,
only one here they called the meeting house, and it was the Bell Hill.
that was the Bell Hill one.
I think so.
The other one was right over in Casco. That's a long ways.
Yeah. She talks about going down.
Did she go alone or did her family go with her?
It seems from these that she went along. It seems like she'd hook up the bus and buggy and go by herself, or walk. Was there a meeting house down there?
Yeah, on the hill.
The Bell Hill meeting
Bell
house.
Hill meeting house.
Is that the only one?
It's not the only church, but it was the only one that they would have referred to as the meeting
Meeting
house.
house?
Sometimes they
So they
call
go into circle.
the Rayville Church on on Grayville Road, they sometimes call the Union Church.
And would Circle be in homes or would it be at the church?
Circle,
Or here?
well, it depends on when we're talking.
Yeah.
But
19...
Circle later, he's met here usually. but-
1918, and I see this was this built in 1920?
Yes.
It was built in 1920? So,
Sort of, it's a hodgepodge.
when she talks about going to Circle, that's
That's the Baptist church.
the Baptist church?
Yeah.
And where was that? Was that the one on Grayville Road?
That's on Grayville Road.
Yes,
That may have been where she went, but there's no real way of knowing because she doesn't really say.
But the circle was like a sewing group.
Right.
It was not a church service, it was not a religious thing, so it was anybody could belong to that. Women's group.
Right, it was a women's group, Circle, went to Circle. Yeah, because she wrote a poem to the Circle.
oh, really?
Do you have it?
Yes.
I'd love it, because we have the Circle, well, we have the Friendship Quilt, the Otisfield Historical Society.
Yes.
From the Circle.
Written, this is it here. Written to the ladies at East Otisfield after receiving a shower of cards from the FB Circle. Dear ladies of the Circle, I wish to say hello and thank you all for the shower of cards sent me not long ago. I have read them over many times and learned them all by heart. When I think how kind it was at all, the tears unbidden start. So good in you to think of me, my dear old friends and neighbors. Wish I could be there, Circle days, and help you in your labors. I'm not feeling quite first class and can't do things I would like. And if I was well as I used to be, to Otisfield I would hike. I would make a call at every house and stop a while and rest. And talk so fast and stay so long, I'd be a regular pest. But I am thankful to be alive and mean to win the fight, as long as I can eat my rations morning, noon, and night. Now I will say goodbye to you with best wishes for you all. Whenever you come to Oxford Station, please give old friends a call. Now.
Very nice.
So that's after she moved to Wellsville.
Yeah, there is.
FB would probably be.
Free Baptist or Friendship? Oh,
I think probably, if she was talking about the Circle, FB Circle, probably.
oh, Free Baptist Circle.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't necessarily mean it's the church.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, they've got a script, I know, because I have pictures taken.
This one here is farming in 1925. She wrote this and it was published in the Advertising Democrat.
And so you have to read that without a magnifying glass?
I'm gonna do the best I can. We'll see. I was talking with a farmer in my yard one day last week. He was telling me his troubles, that he could not make ends meet. He's a strong and robust fellow and works hard every day. But he thinks the trouble is, nowadays farming does not pay. He has got 4 little children and he has to clothe and feed, while his wife helps out in making lots of garments that they need. You may start out tomorrow and travel over the state of Maine. You will find the farmers in all sections and saying just the same. But there is a hole in every skimmer, and I'll whisper this to you. This fellow has an automobile, and he likes to run it too. It is just a second-hand one. It is just a second-hand one, but so much the worse for him. For it needs a little repair work. most every time he brings it in. Of course it is nice and pleasant after a hard day's work is done to hitch up the old Tin Lizard and enjoy a few mile run. And Sundays now seem just the day to take a good long ride with wife and children all packed in and a good little lunch there beside. Not all these trips have been for pleasure. There are many times, you know, when to shop for food and clothing, everyone has got to go. You will need some oil and gas every time you start your car. Have a book and pencil handy. Set it down where you are. And when winter winds come howling, thank you. And when winter wind comes howling and you put away your Lizzie, sit down and reckon up the bill. Look out, it does make you dizzy. You are not the only one, I think, that would grow faint and dizzy if they should reckon up the bill, keen to an old Tin Lizzie. Some mortgage their home and furniture, have not a place to lay their head, but if they have got a handsome car, no matter about the bed. Our president and his cabinet economy will preach. They raise their own high salaries, 3,000 to 5,000 each. They pension this and that one and give small clerk a raise, and give mail clerk a raise. Some advice I wish to give while they are in the game is to pension off each farmer all over the state of Maine. They would like a chance to rest and sport and go off yachting too, but cannot have their farms for long. They have so much to do. If they can have 5,000 each, it would help them out a lot. They would be able to hire some help and raise a temper crop. Look back again just 30 years. Did you ever hear the farmer say, before the auto came in style, that farming did not pay? We'll never see those times again, for it's got to be a craze to spend their time and money, for these are sporting days. That was, let's see, when did she write that? 1925? Not much has changed, has it? They're still giving themselves raises. And the farmer goes without.
They still say it doesn't pay.
Yeah. That's one shit.
Was it Coolidge president then?
And 25, I believe, so.
I don't know.
Let's see.
1920.
World War
Wilson was during World War I.
Wilson.
And then Hoover was during the Depression. So it was a Coolidge in between there.
It was Coolidge.
Coolidge.
I think it matters not much.
Interesting though.
It is interesting, yes.
Well, that was pretty historical actually, because that change into the automobile age did add expenses, and that also period of time is kind of wrapping up the progressive era in which the urbanization was almost complete, and farming was a less desirable occupation. I think that poem, you could use it in history class because there are several items in it that resonate and make sense.
They do.
What did they call it? What was the Tin Lizard? Is that
Well, they wanted either the the T or the A?
Yeah,
I'm not positive.
I remember hearing
And,
that.
I remember hearing that too, and I'm not that.
Yeah, my mother did it.
Then Lizzie was the T.
The
That was
T.
the first one. Then the Model A was much more advanced than
Yeah, but-
then Lizzie.
Yeah.
In one of her diaries, I forget what year it is, but she mentions taking the train to Norway Fair, and the flying machine was circling over the head. She called it a flying machine, was circling overhead. I'm not sure what year that was, but she writes it in one of her diaries.
this is 25.
Did she ever skip a period when she did not write in the diaries?
Very few days. There was one here and there in the later diaries, like 25 and into 26 when she wasn't feeling well. She went in 1920, she died in August of 26. And it was in like June and July, she went down and stayed with her daughter in Portland for a period of time. But
It was a Judy for her, wasn't it?
yes,
So it was Judy.
yep, it was. She took it on. She got her first one, 1918, which I shared last year. And that was the first one. And we have the 8 years from 1918 to 1926 when she passed away. And her daughter wrote the last passage on the day she died. And the rest of it is vacant.
She was 67. Right? She was
Yeah, she was 67.
Do you have that picture of her and Dad and
Yeah.
passing around here?
This one here. This is when,
Why don't you pass it around, Pam?
this is George and Nellie, and my Aunt Ruthie and my father is in the white. He's the little guy.
Who is George? How often she wrote?
George is her husband, George.
There is, we have in the Historical Society, we have one diary, I think it's from the Pico family, where two sisters kept the diary.
Oh, nice.
And there was a family duty, but you never knew which sister was writing, because the handwriting changed.
So you never knew?
And they would refer to each other, of course. Alice is feeling, is doing such and such today, or Mary is doing such and trying to figure out which is kind of a challenge, kind of interesting though. They thought this was, and they didn't miss any days. They were all there.
Yep, the only days that she missed, and they're far and few between in the first ones. There's a day here, a day there, but for the most part, she wrote and
The two little kids.
Pam, can I read the last entry in 1923?
sure.
1923, her last entry is just like what my husband did. She says, "Well, goodbye for the year, old book." My husband did the same thing in his. They talked to the book. But she's got all kinds of money in the back of this one, Pam. People gave money every month.
Yeah,
50 cents, 25 cents, 20 cents, 35 cents. The tune of $5.75.
and these little black ones.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, and these little
1923.
ones. There in the back there is addresses and there are calls. And I had somebody ask me, well, was she calling on the phone? No, they didn't have a phone. Calls meant you stopped and visited.
Yeah.
And there's a place in this book for people who stopped and called. She doesn't have any in here though. But she does have what it cost for stamps, what she spent for stamps. And as you notice when you're reading the entries that I put up, she writes to Vera every day. every day, sometimes twice a day. And she comes down here to Putneyville and mails them. Now, would that have been the post? Was that the post office?
Yes, I'm not just sure when that started there, but it was in the general store that was just across here.
Okay.
The post office was there for a while, as was the telephone connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back, when did the telephone come to Otisfield?
When did the telephone come? To Otisfield?
After 1900, that's all I can say. After 1900.
I know I read,
Before electricity, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
so you had, because I did read in, I think, one of your meetings you had, that electricity
We had one about electricity.
came in 1926 to Otisfield. So,
I think the telephone was there a little before that.
okay, this, stamps, how much she got for eggs, how much she spent for lard, for oil, 8 cents for oil. This is, what was that, I think it was in January, she bought her new oil stove. She went to Norway and got a new oil cook stove, which cost her $11.50. Try buying that today.
Did she have a sewing machine or did she sew by hand?
She had a treadle sewing machine. You know, that all these clothes were made with. I cannot imagine. I learned to sew on a treadle machine. That's what our mother had.
So did that.
Yeah. And I could kick a football from here to Boston just doing one outfit for Girl Scouts. I can't imagine what this woman could do every day. She gets it up, she's using oil lamps at night, an oil stove to cook with. She was so happy when she got, you could tell how happy she was in that entry when she got the oil stove. And just 2 weeks ago, she got a new wash bin, a wash kettle, which, when I looked it up, it was a copper pot that heat the water up outside and wash the clothes outside. It wasn't going to the laundromat or going down to your laundry room. This is going out in the shed and doing this by hand and hoping that things dry.
I figured this out. She made $14 in 1923 of February. And everybody, like one woman paid $9.25 for 3 dresses. So this is her bookkeeping in the back.
Let's see. This, she did. Let's see, what month is this? December 1918, December. Here's her expenses. Rubbers, 75 cents. Thread, 20 cents. Taxes, 24 cents. Cake, 11 cents. Milk cloth, 75 cents. A book, 50 cents. Rat traps, 63 cents. A wash basin, a quarter. Oil, 50 cents. Stockings, $1. Gloves, 50 cents. Candy, 20 cents. Thread, 22 cents. Silk, 12 cents.
That's a lot of candy for 20 cents. Henry said it was 5 cents when he was a kid.
Yeah,
20
that
cents
was
is a lot of candy.
She had a long run home with that wagon. She had to have a chocolate from somewhere. Let's see. Lard, $2.10, coffee, no, 35 cents for coffee, sugar, 20 cents, a yeast cake, 2 cents, sugar, 64 cents, cheese, 36, coffee, 35 cents, lard, $1.96, total, $5.98, total for the month, $60.21. That money came very hard. It wasn't easy for either her or her husband. I mean, she doesn't mention him very often. And, because he's out doing what he did, which was lumber. Not only farm work, but he had a mill, I think, that from what we can gather from the deeds and all the land that they owned, and the mill that sat right there in that little pond, you know, is where some of his land came from. But the Edwardses go deep into the roots of this town, and I am proud to say I'm one of them, and my sister is alive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.